And welcome back to the program. We're going to talk about hearing, and no better persons to talk about that than Ann Mundell-Noel and Dr. Gabriela Rodriguez from Amazing Hearing. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Well, we're just talking about 3 times in a row you guys have been voted by the Orange County Register as the best place to get your hearing done and hearing checks right here in Orange County. What sets you guys apart? What is it that you do that keeps that consistency?
I think the number one thing is our education and our experience. I think we're a really good team. Being audiologist, Anne has a master's degree, I have a doctorate degree, Anne has 30 plus years of experience. So we really work together to keep the patient the primary focus. And then the products and the services we offer, we really try to look at everything big picture, not just one solid problem. Quick fix and goodbye. We really want to provide hearing health care.
Well, I don't want to brush over that. 30 years of experience. What have you seen over these decades that has just been the biggest changes? So the technology that's come into this field?
For sure.
Yeah.
So when I started back in the 80s, we used a screwdriver and a potentiometer to change the settings in the hearing aids.
Oh my goodness.
There was nothing digital. Digital hearing aid technology didn't become available till the late 80s, early 90s. And so even then we were using cords and all kinds of things. And today we have wireless, right? We're with Bluetooth technology. But the biggest thing about that is that you can now, the technology is so good, you can make so many more changes and make it applicable for people.
When I was a kid, I went to Taft Elementary in Santa Ana, and Taft Elementary was a dual school. It had a deaf school for the
hard of
deaf,
hearing.
and it had hard of hearing and deaf, and it had a kind of like the mainstream students. And when we'd go over there, we'd learn sign language. I could still do A, B. I could still do some of those things.
Good for you.
And but I remember the tech they used to wear. It was like it was wired, and they had wire things on their chest sometimes. And it's really changed to where you wouldn't even know if someone's wearing a hearing aid today.
For sure. The technology, though, is also driving more people to do things at an earlier age because there used to be such a huge stigma about hearing loss, that it was, you're old or, really deaf. And now we're getting people with very mild hearing loss, sometimes not even much hearing loss at all, but because of tinnitus, they're coming in. So we work with 2 great products, Widex and Oticon, and those are the industry leaders for us because they really do something different than most other hearing aids.
We'll talk a little bit more about it. What rigors do you put it through before you say we're going to start offering this to our patients?
It has to be research backed. There has to be white pages and research supporting the claims that they make, not just claims from a marketing department. And then honestly, what our patients tell us back. What is happening in the real world in our patient's life. I would say they're not a textbook. You're a real person with a real life, and it needs to make sense for you day in and day out. So we heavily rely on what patients report back.
Okay, so how are these 2 products that you just mentioned kind of improving what you already have?
So they keep coming out with the state-of-the-art products, but the Widex truly and Oticon now have technology where it's AI-based. So using artificial intelligence, it's helping to pick out what is speech, which is spiky, and what is background noise, which is steady state, and to lift it from the background noise. So the bigger part about that is just that the technology is seamless and it's easy, and people say it's very natural and comfortable. But the engine under the hood, if you will, the way it processes is totally different than all the other manufacturers. So it's not a Costco hearing aid, it's not some of the other brands, it's a different quality.
And let's talk a little bit about Lace AI Pro. AI's in there, so I already know it's got some advanced stuff in there. So what's going on with that new technology and that product?
AI can be a scary word for a lot of people if they don't understand it, right? So in this particular thing, Lace AI is a hearing therapy that's working really on memory, speech, and noise. But where the AI comes into play is it is learning you and your abilities. It also has a wide range of topics to choose from, so it'll never get boring. So as you go through this hearing therapy and you're really honing in on the skills, starting to feel more confident with listening and noise, the AI part learns, okay, this was a challenge for them, we need to bring it down to speed, or they're really excelling at memory, let's make it a little bit harder. So now it's a more tailored version of an at-home therapy.
And who would be a candidate for using something like this? Why are people needing this kind of like learning in terms of the world of hearing?
everyone's a candidate. Everyone
Okay.
struggles in background noise, right? So it's an app on your phone, and you have to purchase it through our office. You can't go through the iPhone or the App Store on your phone or the Google Play, the Play Store. But it's for people who are not ready to say, I need a hearing aid, but they want to practice learning how to hear speech and noise, rapid speech, and word memory. And it's for people who have a hearing aid that you're retraining your brain how to hear, or it's for people who've worn a hearing aid for a long time and they're still struggling. So think about it like your body and working out. Who should work out? Everybody. This is just a way that we get the sound from the ear to the brain, and then it's up to the brain to do the work.
Okay, so help me understand the difference. If I'm have a hearing aid and I've been listening and the sound's coming to my brain, how is it, because it's a different delivery system, does my brain have to learn it differently to pick out the sounds, or what am I training my brain to do with this technology?
Think of a muscle when you break your arm in a cast, and over time it kind of atrophies.
Okay.
When we've had a hearing loss for a long period of time, it can be similar to the brain's ability to listen to atrophying.
Okay.
So we need to kind of re-engage everything. The
Okay.
goal of the hearing aids is to collect the sound and provide that stimulation to your brain, but then your brain needs to know what to do with it. So the therapy is really focusing on bringing all these components together to give you a clearer sound, easy in speech, and kind of make them all work together.
Okay. And when someone comes into your office and they get that first diagnostic test and they kind of go through these things, what are some of the things you're looking for in terms of how do I pinpoint what this patient may need, whether it's a tinnitus or if it's just some hearing loss or the range of things that are going on?
That's a huge question. And that's
All
truly
right.
what our case history does, and the ability of Dr. Gabby and I with 6 to 8 years of college experience in hearing science to diagnose and treat. Everybody is an individual. We understand that, and we fit the whole body. We're not just fitting a hearing aid. We are fitting the whole body, meaning we have counseling skills, we have tinnitus ability, we do wax removal, we do everything hearing related.
Is there still a stigma behind, I need a hearing aid? Darn it. And do people still resist? Like, okay, if you tell them, hey, I think you might need a hearing aid, or still people going, no.
Of course, yeah, of course. There's always going to be, the ego. We're human beings. I think as more research has come out and it's really showing the long-term impacts on overall health and cognition, people are starting to be more receptive. I also think the hearing aids are getting smaller. They're doing more fun tech things with Bluetooth, and you're totally hands-free on phone calls, that it is becoming more and more accepted and less of a stigma. But
The other thing I'd add to that is our patient referrals. Patients are telling other people how good they're doing with the hearing aids. They're excited about it, and we get a lot of referrals from that. So it speaks for itself.
And your practice is growing, and that speaks for itself too, right? You're the bigger building now, and you've expanded.
Yeah.
Well, how's that growth been for you guys? Are you able to maintain enough people there? And
For sure. That's why we can have our hearing therapy classes. So once a month, we have a speech pathologist come in who is going to enhance people's ability to do lip reading. And she comes in and does classes for us, and we have other classes coming in. So everything's really expanding.
Yeah.
We're great. And we have a service desk. So people can walk in and have their hearing aids serviced right there. So
that's terrific, fantastic. And if someone comes in, last question, comes in with the Costco and says, hey, can you help me out with these things? Do you guys still, hey, even if we didn't sell it to you, we're still going to try to make what's best for you?
For sure. Yep. And our hearing aids are not locked. So even if somebody came in with a locked hearing aid, which means it has proprietary software like Audibel, Miracle Ear, Beltone, we can look at it. We can tell them what needs to be done. We just can't do it because the software is locked. But we certainly can help just about everybody who walks in the door.
Again, we're back on track. All right. And Dr. Gabby, thank you so much for amazing hearing, for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank
We'll hope for that 4th in a row for Orange County Register.
Yeah.
All right, you're watching This Day. We'll be right back with the California Club. Stay with us.